priests, the church is about to get a whole lot more powerful. And as each day goes by, the power is going to become even more seducing. All I can tell you is, don't do anything wicked and sin against God by using that power to your own advantage. God has allowed you to have authority over all His possessions. In fact, He has allowed you to have just as much authority as He does in His church. And He's trusting you to be faithful with it in all that you do. You need to make sure you always keep your eyes on the work that He has given you. Everything you do must concern Him and not yourself. If you want Him to always look on you with love, you are His servant. And now that I am here, He will keep nothing from you as long as you act responsible with everything He puts you in charge of. But the day I hear it spoken of you, that you did something unrighteous or unfaithful, that only benefited yourself and not those in God's kingdom, is the day I remove your priestly garments and give them to another. I cannot allow you to make a fool of the church. It doesn't mean I'll never look on you with favor again, but for a while you will be away from the action. As long as you never treat people wrong, I will let you stay a priest forever. In fact, if you're good enough, I may even make you one of the kings. But cross me, and you will feel my wrath. God has put you in bondage to me to help me, so that I don't have to concern myself with every little thing that happens in His kingdom. And I expect you to be committed to being faithful to me in all the help you give me. If you don't want to be, or if you don't look at things the way I do, then you need to run away now. Because if I hear you causing an uproar by trying to get people to not believe what I say, I will have you arrested on the spot before you have a chance to get away, and you will be confined to prison until you see the error of your ways. I can't have people, especially the priests, going around saying we are not divine, we are not Jews, or that I'm not the Christ. Because if you do feel that way, then you need to start walking and get out of my kingdom. I will not tolerate you trying to burst God's dream. When you see things my way, then you can return. This is not some story I made up. This is the truth. I will not sin against God by allowing you to make a fool of me. The first ones to be arrested in God's kingdom for not believing will be the priests, because a lot of how much love God shows us will depend on how faithful they are. I have always envied those people who had the real nice Bibles. You know, the ones that become family heirlooms. I've never had one. In fact, I've never paid for a Bible either. Every one I have ever gotten, I got free. And even though I may envy the fancy ones, I still treasure the ones I got free. And I'm sure as much as those who have the fancy ones treasure theirs. By the way, whoever helped keep me stocked in Bibles all these years, thanks. I couldn't have done it without you. Since you lived in a world that made you a prisoner to sin, that would mean Satan was your warden. This is probably not the time to be proud that you are one of the warden's favorite prisoners. Pick up your cross and follow me. Don't stay hung on it by being a cross between good and evil, or you will be cursed. God doesn't need me, but He wants me. Just like He doesn't need any of us, but He wants all of us. Come worship the King of Kings. Jesus was on a cross and torn between the forces of good and the forces of the flesh. And God won that. Is why Jesus lives. You are also on that same cross. Are you going to live by choosing God or die by choosing the flesh? Let your choice of the flesh die so that you may live. Jesus being buried for 3 days before others could see Him rise was the time God set aside to see if Jesus really had buried the fleshly desires He had. It was to make sure He really was a man after God's own heart. It was also to give Him the messages He needed to show people that He really was the Messiah, and that He had indeed left behind the world of sin and death and received a new life. I know this to be true because I have gone through the same thing in order to rise and show myself to you. I do believe Jesus came in the flesh, died on the cross, and rose from the dead. In fact, it is the only thing I read with my physical mind when I read the Bible. Anything else I read with my spiritual mind. However, even those scriptures, when I read them with my spiritual mind, I get a whole lot more out of them. I understand what they really mean. The way the scriptures are being used by man, it's a wonder that anyone is being cleansed by them, since they are being used in such an unclean way. You need to wash the dirt out of your eyes so you can see how they are really to be used. If you would quit trying to mix the physical with the spiritual, your blindness would go away. They are to make us spiritually better, but most of you have only been using them to make us physically better. People have been using them so we don't sin in the flesh, while the sin of the Spirit, denying we are God's divine children, remains.